few so far, and most of them are down south. So we need to establish, let us say, a dealer network of retrofitting companies in Delhi, which can help in early adoption of electric vehicles and retrofit existing petrol or diesel vehicles into electric vehicles. So I will not dwell anymore, but I think it has been a journey, exciting one personally for me in the last 1 year and a quarter. Huge learnings, and I'm sure as we go along, we'll be able to do some more exciting stuff together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for providing the final details of the implementation of the policy and what is to come. Sir mentioned about he emphasized on the importance of last mile delivery, electrification of the last mile delivery fleets. The Delhi government started work on this on a pilot basis. It was a joint initiative between RMI India, RMI collaborated with the Delhi government. And today we will launch the report for the Deliver Electric Delhi. So just to give a brief overview about the report, there were three to four key aspects of the pilot that was run. It was run along with 35 industry partners. It had a wide set of stakeholders. It had vehicle OEMs, delivery service providers, and it focused on an end-to-end design of the policy, implementation of the policy, and creating a roadmap for final mile electrification of the last mile delivery services in Delhi. So before we move on to the more aspects about the Deliver Electric Delhi report, I would request the dignitaries to launch the DED report. Thank you very much. I now invite my colleague Madhi to delve deeper into the insights that we have found from the Deliver Electric Delhi report.
Thank you, Sujoy. I will now share a few high-level insights from the Deliver Electric Delhi pilot process. The Deliver Electric Delhi pilot was designed to provide insights on policy implementation and to support public and private sector decision-making regarding EV deployment. The pilot was broken up into three processes or pieces. The first was design, execution, and then documentation. During the design phase of the pilot, the Dialogue and Development Commission of Delhi and RMI India engaged with industry players to craft the pilot execution framework. The pilot was then launched during the Delhi Urban Mobility Lab in June 2019. And roughly a year later, the Delhi EV policy was officially notified in August 2020. The documentation phase culminates with the launch of our final report, the roadmap for 100% delivery electrification in Delhi. The report is a synthesis of on-the-ground field information collected from our pilot participants, and it highlights how these participants were able to accelerate final mile delivery electrification. To accelerate the process of electrifying final mile delivery vehicles, many key enablers were relied upon. The first is Delhi implemented incentives to address the high capital cost of EVs. This significantly lowered the capital cost of purchase by roughly 25%. The mobilization of EV finance also lowered the borrowing rates for EV lending. And today, the Delhi government is currently working on an interest subvention scheme to reduce the interest rates for EVs. Delhi adopted a consultative approach to policy implementation throughout this pilot process. and the government was continually open to feedback, which enabled them to inform how they were implementing policies on the ground. The availability of charging infrastructure was also identified as a crucial enabler of final mile delivery electrification. And Delhi initiated 3 key schemes to help forward a robust charging infrastructure network in the city. The first was a tender for 100 concessional charging locations, the enactment of a tariff schedule with rates specifically designed for EV charging, and a subsidy scheme for private charging infrastructure. Lastly, the Deliver Electric Delhi pilot served as a forum for industry stakeholders to connect and form partnerships between vehicle manufacturers, food and grocery delivery companies, and e-commerce providers to scale final mile delivery electrification. The Delhi EV policy was one of the first policies to offer a complementary subsidy in addition to FAME 2. This drastically reduced the total cost of ownership, and today, two-wheelers at cost ownership superiority when compared to ICE equivalent vehicles or internal combustion vehicles. Three-wheelers after the Delhi and FAME 2 subsidy are at cost parity, and we expect by 2024, once the EV market matures and interest rates continue to lower, that four-wheelers will also be at cost parity on a TCO or total cost of ownership basis. Within just a year of enacting the Delhi EV policy and implementing the Deliver Electric Delhi pilot, EV sales in Delhi increased from 3.3% to 10% of new vehicles registered. Given the existing market momentum, favorable economics, and the continuation of supportive EV policies, final mile delivery vehicles could feasibly reach 100% sales penetration level by 2030. This growth in electric final mile delivery adoption can significantly reduce PM and NOx emissions by roughly 30%, significantly improving Delhi's urban air quality. EVs also reduce CO2 emissions and minimize the negative impact on the environment. Electric final mile delivery vehicles can reduce CO2 emissions by up to 35% by 2030. Within the last year, Delhi has made tremendous progress in scaling final mile delivery electrification and deploying a more robust charging network. As the market continues to mature, it will be important to iterate on policy design. To continue to scale electric final mile delivery adoption, the government can use regulatory processes to further support electric vehicle supply and demand. For EV adoption to scale, private sector efforts are also needed to complement any EV policies or schemes. There is an ongoing need for ambitious fleet electrification targets, enhanced EV manufacturing, and EV financing. I would like to offer a sincere thanks to all those who participated in the Deliver Electric Delhi pilot and who truly made it a success. It is now my pleasure to invite Mr. JasmineShah to deliver his remarks.
Honorable Transport Minister Kailash Gahlot ji, Transport Commissioner Ashish Kundra ji, MD of RMI India, Akshima, and all the stakeholders and friends from the entire EV ecosystem that have assembled today morning. I'm very glad that today we are here assembled in our first in-person EV forum meeting. As Akshima was earlier remarking, the EV forum, the Delhi EV forum, which is hosted by the Dialogue and Development Commission in partnership with RMI India, was born out of the idea that the dream for Delhi's EV journey is a shared dream. When the Delhi EV policy was drafted, we remember, so many of you had very enthusiastically participated in framing it, giving us suggestions. And I think it was that 1.5 year process that resulted in a very robust policy that I think almost everybody welcomed from the industry, from the ecosystem, players, OEMs, everyone. But we also received feedback at that point that this kind of a healthy discussion between government and the stakeholders outside the government should not stop, and we should continue having these discussions, because at that time in 2020, August 2020, when we launched the policy, and we said that Delhi was the first state to put its neck out and say that 25% share of new vehicles will be EVs. That was the target we put out by 2024. We were the first state at that time, and it seemed a very daunting challenge at that point. But literally 1.5 years down the line, where we stand today, and last month we clocked 12.5% sales of EVs in new vehicles. It is very clear that we have reached a huge and very important milestone. We are halfway there as far as the dream of EV is concerned. And the last 1.5 years, I would say, has been a shared journey. Each and every stakeholder in the city has participated in it. Of course, this entire dream of making Delhi the electric vehicle capital of India is a vision of our Honorable Chief Minister, Arvind Kejriwal ji. Throughout the initial stages till today, I applaud and I admire the leadership of our Honorable Transport Minister Kailash Gahlot ji, as well as the entire transport department led by Ashish Kundra ji, and the entire team. There are a lot of people in various arms of transport department, including DTC and others, who have been standing together, with the larger players and ecosystem every step of the way. And I think this shows the power of what a collaborative approach can do when government and stakeholders outside the government engage in this kind of a dialogue and discussion, and jointly discuss issues, find resolutions and move forward. We know that sky is the limit. So it is in that spirit that we are assembled here today as part of Delhi EV Forum. And as I said, we have reached a major milestone, a milestone no city or no state in India has reached so far. 12.5% of all new vehicle sales being EVs is unprecedented. So what next is the obvious question. And I think given the aspiration, given the vision of our Chief Minister, and given all our shared dream, I'm sure many of you represent different companies, different organizations, but one of the big reasons why all of you got up early in the morning and came here is because you want clean air. You want clean air for your family, you want clean air for the future generations. And I think it is in that spirit that I feel that today we are at the cusp of creating history. If you look at what really can be achieved in Delhi, I think the last 1.5 years should inspire a lot of hope that today we can stand here and dream of doing things which have definitely not been done in India, but probably not in other parts of the world as well. And I think it is in that spirit that today we have identified a few themes after this inaugural session. There are a few themes that we've identified for breakouts and further deliberations. The first is 100% electrification of last mile delivery. We just heard about a 2-year pilot of Deliver Electric Delhi, and I congratulate RMI India for very patiently working with industry players and DDC in really drawing out insights. This is such an early stage of evolution of electric, delivery fleet electrification, that we have to learn from each other's experiences. So I also appreciate all those who participated in the pilot, who shared their data, shared their experiences. And we are committed as DDC, we are committed to working with all the players in the industry to reach that goal of 100% delivery fleet electrification. You're aware about the fact that Delhi is soon going to be bringing out a policy for aggregators. But I feel as delivery fleets, the onus is first that on our own initiative, how can we reach that target of 100% delivery fleet electrification? Second target is rapid scale up of charging infrastructure. Delhi has already taken a number of initiatives in the last 1.5 years. We have the highest number of charging points as it is. But still, if we are saying that the dream is to move towards 100% electrification of delivery fleets, even two-wheelers, personal two-wheelers, as such, then we need a larger penetration of charging points. And that is where the role of commercial establishments and RWAs especially comes in. Unlike a petrol pump where you go searching for a petrol station when you are out of fuel, global experience has shown that majority of charging for EVs happens where you naturally take your vehicle. It is either your workplace, your society, or if you're out, let's say for shopping, or if you're visiting a hotel or a hospital, or any malls, all of that. So it is very important that commercial establishments and RWAs join and become very active participants in the vision of making Delhi the EV capital. Government has taken a few steps, but we would still like to learn from the players, commercial establishments especially, what is it that is can be done to further push this further. And the third, I think, is a very new opportunity of retrofitting. It's still an evolving conversation. There are a few players in the retrofitting industry, but this is an area and theme that we haven't engaged in much in the previous EV forums. So we thought that today could be a good opportunity to understand, are there any innovations, are there any policy measures or operational models that Delhi can adopt? And I think it is in this spirit that today I encourage all of you to participate actively in these discussions, give suggestions, and also see how can we make time-bound commitments, because at the end of the day, as I said, the vision is not to just talk, discuss, but to see what can each of us do to further this vision of making Delhi the EV capital of India. So I again thank Honorable Transport Minister Kailash Gahlot ji for taking out his valuable time and joining us today. And I wish all of you a great event today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With the collaborative effort of everyone in this room, like Mr. Shah said, indeed for Delhi, sky is the limit. On that note, it is my great pleasure to invite Honorable Minister of Transport, Shri Kailash Gahlot ji, for delivering the keynote address.
Very good morning to all of you. On the dais, Jasmine ji, Ashish Kundra ji, Akshima ji, and the esteemed guests which are in this hall. I think let me congratulate first of all not only Delhi government or transport department but the entire team. I think it's a classic example of perfect teamwork and collaboration, जहाँ सरकार और दूसरी जो stakeholders हैं, they collaborate, have a vision, and I think more important than vision is have a dream. मुझे आज भी याद है जब टारगेट हम सेट कर रहे थे कि इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल पॉलिसी में what goals should be set. I still remember the conversation I was having with Jasmine in my office chamber. तो कहीं मन में लग रहा था कि कहीं हम ओवर एम्बिशियस होके ऐसा कोई टारगेट तो सेट नहीं कर रहे हैं कि which we won't be able to achieve. But I think after almost 2 years, 2020 में अगस्त में लॉन्च किया and we have almost reached halfway through. I congratulate everybody, all the stakeholders, all team members who have worked leading from the front and who have worked behind to at least 2 साल में जो 50% हम पहुंच गए हैं, because I think ये तो हमने बार बार कहा है, ऑनरेबल सीएम अरविंद केजरीवाल जी ने भी बार बार कहा है कि दिल्ली वासियों ने बहुत बड़े बड़े बदलाव करके दिखाए हैं, and this Delhi government I don't think could have done alone. जितनी चीज़ें कहीं जाए दिल्ली इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल पॉलिसी के बारे में, I think one of the best policies which have been drafted so far and very well executed. not only in India, but I think all over the world. One of the best electric vehicle policy. And I think the credit goes not to Delhi government per se. I think the process which was adopted by Delhi government, जो consultations हुई, लगातार जितने भी stakeholders हैं, and I think let me thank, before I forget, let me thank the two precious gems which RMI has given. कोहिनूर के हीरे हैं अगर मैं गलत नहीं कहूँ तो डिम्पी एंड सिजॉय कहाँ पर हैं? I think you should come in front and at least one big round of applause for, where is Dimpy? Dimpy, you come. Please remove your mask also. I think you can have the liberty of doing that. I think non-stop, I think they have worked very, very hard. And I think more important than working hard was to identify the real issues, resolving them, thrashing them out, pura brainstorming karke. I thank both Dimpy and Sujoy for lending all their support, hard work, and I also thank Transport Commissioner Mr. Ashish Kundra, who has I think motivated the entire department, all officers, and playing a very crucial and interesting role. I don't think I need to thank Jasmine. I also thank Akshima. I think we should congratulate her also. She has become Managing Director of RMI. The journey has been very interesting so far. I think we have given the right incentives. That it created the entire ecosystem, that push. एक सरकार को जो करना चाहिए, I think we have taken all the right steps so far. I think now the ball is in the court of RWAs, the citizens, जो mall के owners हैं, जो बड़े-बड़े commercial hubs हैं, जो उनके owners हैं, जो बड़े establishments के owners हैं, and I think as Jasmine pointed out, सबसे ज़्यादा जहाँ charging का scope है, वो है जहाँ a person is there for more number of hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. In fact, any person who goes to a mall lands up spending at least 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. If he goes for a movie, then more number of hours. Office spaces, 6 to 7 hours minimum. Those are the perfect places where we should set up charging stations. I think already in Delhi we have almost around 1,000 charging points. But I think that day is not far when we will have more number of charging stations. 300 charging points का I think जो target है वो बहुत जल्द हम achieve करेंगे charging stations का. Awareness is another important point, and I think everything flows from awareness. Vis-a-vis Delhi government, we have been trying to create awareness at all levels. As Transport Commissioner pointed out, जहाँ तक public transport की बात आती है, I think very soon we will have thousands of electric buses running on Delhi roads. Two-wheelers का अक्षमा जी ने mention किया, it has really picked up in last few months. In fact, we have gone beyond that. I think Delhi has become the only state to provide subsidy on e-cycles. I think no other state has done so far. Again, that is to create जो last mile connectivity में जितने भी commercial या delivery वाले जितने vehicles हैं, so instead of using a petrol two-wheeler, if they switch to the e-cycles, and we have given subsidy on both the passenger e-cycles and the cargo e-cycles. I think that will also very soon it will start. We are just in the last phase of creating that portal. The subsidies and the incentives will start. So vis-a-vis Delhi government and as a transport department, we have taken all the right steps. I am appealing to all citizens of Delhi, all residents of Delhi, all the owners of big commercial establishments. The RWAs can play a very important role in creating awareness. We already held 2-3 rounds with RWAs. अभी पीछे वसंतकुंज में हमने RWA में इलेक्ट्रिक चार्जिंग पॉइंट्स विद द डिस्कॉम सेटअप किया. आई थिंक चार्जिंग पॉइंट्स क्रिएट करने के लिए जो सब्सिडीज़ दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट ने प्रोवाइड किया है, I think it is nowhere in India right now. The cheapest charging point which you can set up anywhere is in Delhi. I think 6,000 रुपये का सब्सिडी देने के बाद I think the resident needs to pay just 2,000 rupees. और उसके लिए भी सिंगल विंडो सिस्टम क्रिएट किया है. The applicant need not go anywhere. He has to just go and visit the DISCOM website and place the order. Having said that, I once again congratulate everybody, all the stakeholders, and looking forward when we can proudly say that the targets which we had set in the electric vehicle policy we have achieved, and I thank everybody who has been working very hard shoulder to shoulder. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for those very encouraging words. Thank you for being